Really happy to be here. Really happy that live ops is happening. We see and hear a lot of different thoughts and share the ideas. And in Austin, Texas, where I work, in our office, every time someone says live ops, it means that in the next 30 seconds, I will have to say something smart, because I'm live ops. And here you've been saying live ops for the whole morning, which freaks me out. So, yeah, good stuff. We've learned how to double the revenue with some magic in the morning. Then we went above and beyond games as a service. And I almost feel like we're going back to earth now, because I'll be talking about some small steps, just a couple of charts and numbers, no big magic. Okay. Here I am, live ops. I joined Wargaming in 2012 initially, and back then the technology we had was quite different from what we have now. So in this presentation I will just share how we got there, what we're doing now, and talk quite a lot about all the efforts of our development team. Just a quick disclaimer, in Wargaming, live ops as a department in the org structure is part of publishing. Still, everyone is live ops, as we already know from the morning. So, anyone is familiar with World of Tanks? Okay, we have a couple of hands. Good. So, World of Tanks is a PC game. Another disclaimer, it's a big game client, about 40 gigabytes. So you probably won't manage to install and do some progress during this presentation. But anyway, it's a PC game. And in our own words, it's heavy, metal, gritty, solid, powerful, authentic, and military. So who do you think is interested in playing this game? Any ideas? Yeah, I can hear some right answers. Yeah. If you look at any research or surveys from our audience, you will probably come to a conclusion that will sound like this. Middle-aged male are more likely to play this game than any other demographic groups. And we launched the game in 2011, and when the game was launched, pretty much this was our segmentation. This was our tools to getting new users. This was like our method. We showed the game to the middle-aged male and hope that they stick with it. We went a long way from there. Does this work? Okay. So let's get through the brief history of our segmentation and personalized offers in Wargaming. In 2011, we released the product, and we immediately started acquiring a lot of users just because the product was unique and new and quite cool. And middle-aged male were excited about it. And in 2012, we built our first segmentation with external audience. So we did some surveys, focus groups, and identified some segments, like lifestyle segments. Segments like senior historians, middle-aged military, young gunners, based on their lifestyle and what they like and what we think they will like in the game. Okay, so we had the segmentation for our acquisition, but how do we manage the messaging and communication for the existing users in the game? They obviously deserve a segmentation as well. So to do that, our development team had to tackle such problems as building solid data platform with efficient data processing, with the data extraction in simplified formats to reduce volumes, and some storage policies which can be flexible enough for the future to attract more and more data. And I know it was a lot of data. It took them about 4 months to just put data for one cluster in the storage, and that over the course of the next 2 years allowed us to build the first in-game segmentation and to shape the first CRM strategy. We identified the segments like whales, dominators, casual players, and we could already look at the historical data to define what they like about the game, what the messaging should be like, and we could look basically at look back to the past and answer the question, what happened? So it was not enough for our developers and data scientists guys. They wanted to answer the question, why that happened, and what will most likely happen under certain conditions. So to do that, they took another 2 years to automate the data quality, determine clear data language, like monthly active user has to be monthly active user no matter what in any platform or any game that we have. Then it allowed them to build real-time data streams and data processing. For us in publishing, this meant that we could have a real-time rule engine to send real-time campaigns, and this was the first time we ever launched a real-time targeted campaign in 2016, and pretty much since then our efforts in targeted messaging are about growth through testing and iteration. So we have the data, we running targeted campaigns, we identify the successful ones, and we scale those ones that pass certain checkboxes. So for development at the moment, it's just adding new features to the platform. By the way, the platform we call internally is Player Relations Management Platform, or PRMP, and they also do some integrations with external services and internal services for the game. So since pretty much 2017 to 18, we can say that we have live operations and real live operations department and a service inside of the company. So what's live operations today? It's 550 million events per day tracked by our system, or 3 terabytes of data, and sometimes up to 40,000 events per second. It's a lot of data. Our developers did pretty good job in building all that. It took them almost 5 years. So what can we do with it as live ops? We better do something useful, right? We operate on a number of different levels, depending on the geography and frequency of the event. We have global events such as regular big updates with new content and vehicles. We have server-wide specials, the holidays that are run for the whole server, but still on a global level. We have personal seniority rewards, which is a pretty cool thing, which is a global event, but still personal. Then we have regional regular contests, server-wide specials, which is pretty much any premium shop offer or in-game special. And the most interesting here is personal regional level, which the most efforts of live ops are in this box for regional events, because this is the level where we have the most space for customization, for testing, and for getting to know the user better. On the local level, we can go to the level of country or level of city sometimes, or a state, have some local price elasticity tests like we do for Latin America, for example. So let's get to the regional personal campaigns level and try to do some automation on it, because this is where we can really target the user, and we can really know who the user is and what they most likely will accept from us as an offer. So We look at every user and define which segment they're in, a very high level. If it's a new user or active user, then we put an engagement score for every user, defined by all the data science models that we have. It's automatic. We answer the question, will the user keep playing or not? Most likely. So if it's a new user and he will keep playing, we say, okay, maybe our goal should be to find some moment to run a conversion campaign with some welcome pack or basic kit, starter kit. Then if it's a new user, but they most likely won't keep playing the game, we will do some early churn prevention with onboarding and educational content. Same goes for active user who doesn't like the game and is churning. We will be a bit more cautious with churn prevention or some retention programs. We will think a bit more of what is it they don't like about the game and what we can offer. So the next three lines are active users who will most likely keep playing the game. And this is our core, and we are the most careful about this audience. We are interested in whether they already paying us or not, and most importantly, will they keep paying or not. So if it's a non-paying user, we will try to do some conversion tests. If it's a paying user and they will keep paying, this is the core of the core. We will try to do some interesting offers for them to upsell to a higher bin for monetization. For the user who will most likely not keep paying, we'll do some payment for activation campaign with some specials. For the inactive guys, we have different channels. We are not targeting them in-game. We will have some rewards for the win-back. Win-back is how we call re-engagement in Wargaming. Okay, let's imagine we ran all that automatic campaigns. How do we measure? We actually have every campaign has a goal, and we run it on a quite small cohort of users. We tend to keep it below 10,000 users, just for a benchmark. We always have a target group and the control group. The control group doesn't get the offer. The target group does. And then we measure 7 days before and after the campaign. And our goal here is to do a significant shift in players' behavior. So we don't track click-through rates, or we don't attribute the whole impact to the bundle that we're trying to sell. Instead, we're trying to influence their behavior and influence their habit. If we manage to change the habit, we think we're successful. If not, if it's not significant, we iterate and try to change something, some component of the offer, whether it's a segment or the value proposition or the product or price or the way we promote it. It can be different messaging, different key art. It can be anything. So we can iterate a number of times before we give up or before we scale. So, the results. We have quite a big fail rate, and we think it's fine. The reason why we chose this methodology is because it's actually very hard to manipulate the numbers. If we try to change the habit, we cannot just put a 90% discount and get everyone to pay. But still, the 15% of successful campaigns provide a stable revenue stream for the tests to keep running, and for the whole department to keep working and keep testing and discovering the data about the users. So let's do this midway summary. We have the product, we have the service and automatic models that run, that are self-correcting algorithms. We are bringing the user back to the path we prepared for them automatically without any effort. So it's almost true. Instead, that it's not really true, because as you can see, the publishing people still didn't lose their jobs to the robots. We are still here. And the reason for that, it actually has to make sense for the user. It has to be in the context of what they're doing before and after the offer. It has to be the right moment. Most of the successful campaigns that we run are based on a particular moment. For example, this one is a moment when you have a mark of excellence. It's pretty rare. You have to work hard for it. You have to be a bit lucky. And it's been proven by a lot of behavioral economists, but this is like our contribution, that user is more likely to pay in a moment of a high or low emotional state. So another example is a sad moment when you keep losing, but you're doing pretty well individually in your game, in your battle. If this keeps happening, we offer you an insurance pack. You can buy it, and then you're secure for the next 10 battles. If you keep losing, you're safe. So let's wrap up now. Finally, with a good product data. I divided the prerequisites to run live operations into hard and soft. So we have product data, accurate prediction models, all the good processes and infrastructure, and solid iteration process. But still, the even more important prerequisites are knowing your players' problems, knowing their pain points, talking actually the same language and the same language as the player, and overall content strategy. Being honest and being having an understandable offer. Then the next one is pretty interesting, not breaking the game. This is our arrangement with the product and with the developers. We can test, but only if we don't break stuff. So we have some limitations, some cooldowns, and some policies. Then we are going to local and cultural differences. Taking that into account. We're building and changing the habits instead of improving the funnels or trying to sell a particular thing to the user. And then last, and the very important, is we're listening to the community, because in the end it's all for the community, for them to have fun and to build even a better product than it is, and for the product to keep lasting. And if the community feedback is not great, they are the boss, and they have always the last word in whether we scale some tests or not. And that's it. Thank you. If you have any questions, we have, I think, a couple of minutes.
I have a question about the gold ammo. When it was released, it was only available for purchase through the cash, which can be converted into in-game gold. But then after some time, it was available to be purchased through in-game currency with credits. I was wondering if that's based on the data like this one, and if it is, how do you think about it? Was it good choice or bad choice, or yeah?
So yeah, the question is why we didn't have all the bundles available for gold in game from the very beginning.
If I was wondering if the converting to converting the purchase method to credit using in-game credit, was it worth it, or do you think it's not good impact?
Yeah, we actually saw an uplift from introducing the in-game shop. Yeah, to give you some context, we didn't have that available before, but we made it, I think, about 2 years ago. And yeah, we saw an uplift in gold purchases, and it paid for itself. So yeah, I think it was a good thing to do.
Thanks so much for the presentation. I got a question around the tools you guys use. Is it just homegrown, or are you using third party? And then also a little about the structure of your team, like how big are they, and then who makes up your live ops?
Yeah, so Wargaming built their own tools. So we have the data warehouse, all the data processing, and the tools and the admin panels to launch the campaigns. And we have about five people in every region in live ops. That's the answer. And we have quite a big platform team in the headquarters that's doing all the development and that's supporting all the launch.
How do you guys think about, because anytime you add more content to the game through live operations or other patch content updates, potentially what happens is the game becomes less accessible because there's more mechanics, there's more complexity in unit design. How do you guys balance that with new player acquisition and getting your win-back players to come back because of how that funnel works out?
So yeah, we are developing new modes pretty much twice a year, 3 times a year, and it's always, of course, for the core users, but some of them are good to go for the new users as well. Like in next month, we will have a tank racing mode where you just have a tank where you race, and it's very casual, and it's pretty good for the new users. So all the features that we ship, they balance between users and existing. While of course we are mostly focused on the core, because it's not a very obvious game for the new users still.
The learnings that you guys take from the live ops work, how does it end up impacting the product roadmap or the strategy of like features and plans and even possibly new products that you're making? So
our ultimate goal after scaling the campaign, it has an opportunity to become the part of the product and to go into development and be global as a feature. So we totally see every campaign as a chance to test the new feature and put it into development for the future.